Make a tower prefab blocks. Use new primitive shapes to build a balanced structure. Learning about colliders and prefabs. In this tutorial, create a few block towers that your bouncing ball will be able to knock over. Get started to the next step. Nice. Add a block and reset its transform. You're about to begin the construction of your block tower. To make your first building block, you'll start by... Oh, I just want to see how many steps there were. Just 12. Okay. You'll start by adding a primitive cube, just like you did with the spear. You'll add it to the scene, rename it, then reset its position to the origin as a starting point. However, this time use the new technique for creating the new 3D object and a technique for resetting the object's position. At the top of the hierarchy window, select the Add button to access the Create menu. Oh, okay, there's an Add. Okay, so you can do it like that instead of right-clicking. Then select 3D Object Cube. This technique gets you to the same menu as right-clicking an empty area in the hierarchy window. Rename the cube block. In the inspector window, select the More menu in the upper right corner of the transform component and select Reset. To reset the cube's transform properties, including resetting its position to the origin. Oh, so it does all of that, all of the transform properties, I see. This should position the cube in the center of the room, halfway sunk into the floor. Cube. Nice. Reposition and scale the block. In this step, you will reposition the block so that it's in the path of the ball and edit its scale so that it looks more like a classic kid's building block. However, rather than editing the scale in the transform component directly like you did with the ball, you actually use the scale tool in the scene view. After you master the scale tool, you'll have mastered the 3 most important tools in the scene view: move, rotate, and scale. In the hierarchy window, select the block game object. Use the move tool to reposition the cube above the floor where it will get hit by the ball. Select the scale tool and use the X, Y, and Z handles to scale it down so it's a tall, skinny block that the ball can knock over. You can confirm in the inspector window, but it should be about 0.1, 0.25, 0.1 on the X, Y, and Z scale values. For faster editing, flip between the move, rotate, and scale tools using the W, E, and R keyboard shortcuts in the scene view. Press F to frame the object in the scene view for a clearer look, and make sure that it's just sitting just above the floor. Remember, you can always undo any unwanted edits with Control Z. Enter play mode to see the ball. Unable to knock over the block, which is something you'll fix in the next step. Let's play mode. Because it doesn't have a collider. But wait, doesn't an object also need rigid body to fall too? Yeah, it needs both. Oh wait, that does have a collider, just, yeah, it needs a rigid body to fall. Add rigid body component. In step, you'll add a rigid body component to the block game object. Initially, the block won't move when hit by the ball, acting like an immovable brick wall. This behavior is due to a lack of rigid body component, which governs the physics properties of the game object. With a rigid body component, the block can react to a collision and fall over. With the block game object selected, select Add Component at the bottom of the inspector window and search for Add a rigid body component. Yeah, enter play mode, test the interaction. Resort the block map if knocked over when hit by the ball. Mode to save your scene often. Control S. Yes. Nice. Create a block prefab. In this step, you transform the block game object, which you've already enhanced with a rigid body component, into a reusable prefab. Prefabs in Unity are game objects with all the components and properties already set up, that you can reuse as a template. You can keep these custom prefabs in a folder in the project window for future use. Project window, navigate to the prefabs folder, select the Add button at the top of the project window, then select Folder. There's an Add button at the top of the project. Oh, this plus button. Select folder and name the new folder My Prefabs. Just like you did in the hierarchy window, you can access this create menu using the plus button or right-clicking an empty space in the project window. Click and drag your block game object from the hierarchy window into the My Prefabs folder in the project window. When you drag a game object from the hierarchy window into any folder in the project window, it converts the object into a prefab. Show that the block in the hierarchy window turns blue, indicating it is a copy or an instance of a prefab. Copy or an instance. The block in the hierarchy turns blue. Oh, I get it. It's just saying, like, another word for the copy is instance. Folder. Huck. Nice. Okay. Yeah, the one other thing that was nice about the old Unity Essentials, from what I remember, was like at least at the end of the missions, they let you unlock assets, so that was nice. But maybe they like moved those over to the next pathway because of this new version of Unity Essentials. No. Create a tower from prefab blocks. Now you'll use the block prefab you created to build a small tower in your Unity scene. The process of constructing a tower not only tests your ability to use prefabs efficiently, but it also allows you to experiment with object positioning in Unity. The tower doesn't need to be perfect. As long as it stands up, it'll work well. In fact, it may even be more visually interesting if it's not perfectly aligned. From the scene view toolbars, locate the center/pivot drop down and make sure that center is selected. Okay, this is something I probably should practice. Choosing anything. Center/pivot drop down. Center. If pivot is active, your blocks will end up halfway through the floor at their pivot point. Drag multiple instances of the block prefab from the project window into your scene, positioning them to form a tower. Okay, I'm gonna need to play with the center and pivot thing, and hopefully I'll understand what it does. Drag multiple instances of the block prefab from the project window into your scene, positioning them to form a tower. In order to make sure that your blocks are aligned, you should examine the tower from all angles. Sometimes it might look aligned from one angle, but not from another. Try framing the block you're working with, then orbiting it, or using the scene view gizmo to examine it from different angles. After constructing your tower, enter play mode to observe how the tower behaves. Exit play mode and make any necessary adjustments to the position of the blocks to refine your tower's stability or design. Alright, well, first let's see the video. Maybe it'll be self-explanatory when they switch from center to pivot. Wait, didn't you say to switch to... Oh, pivot at your box when halfway through the floor. Oh, you do need center. But it's already at center here. Why did the block look like it, like was shrinking when he was dragging it and, like, moving it around? But you saw this, it shrunk. What is that? Oh, maybe it's, oh, the perspective. Like, it thought it wanted him to place it, like, further away. Okay, this doesn't explain what pivot does, but that's okay. I'll test it. Maybe this only works with 2D. Actually, I want to test this in 3D. Holding Z lets you align the blocks because it works in 2D, and if it works here, like, why don't they just teach you that? Because it's pretty nice. Instead of having to manually align stuff. Okay, I'm gonna test it. I haven't played it yet. Okay. So time to do some testing. Let me save first, so it's already saved. Okay, 3D. And let's get a cube. Okay, there's a cube. It's set. Okay, where did it go? Oh, okay, I see. Move it over here. I can barely see it. Why is it this gray color? Is it supposed to... Oh, is it because there's no lighting or something in 2D? It's ugly. Is it because I'm in isometric? No, I don't think it really matters. Oh, it's so ugly. What if I edit it? Never mind. How do I get out of this? And then, okay. Okay, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Oh, I'm on pivot right now. So has this tool handle is placed at the active objects. The tool handle is placed at the active object's pivot point. What is this? The tool handle is placed at the center of the selection. What is a tool handle? This thing? Pivot. I don't see a difference. Let me make a prefab out of this. Okay, so center, cube. Center looks like this one, dragon. Okay, pivot. Cube. Oh. So it is halfway in the floor. That's it? It just drags halfway in the floor when you use pivot? I didn't mean to do this. Go back. That's it. Tool handle, place at the center of the selection. Tool handle. I see. Wait, why can't I read an explanation for pivot? Okay, let me just toggle tool handle position. The tool handle is placed at the center of the selection. Alright. The tool handle is placed at the active object's pivot point. Let's see, let's look at rotate. Anything different here? No. What about this? Pivot, center, center, pivot, pivot, center, view. The only difference I notice is that when you drag an object in, if it's on pivot, it just like goes halfway in the ground and that's really it. But then, like, what is this? I don't understand what these explanations mean. Tool handle. Unless they mean by it being halfway in the ground, it's like that is like the pivot point where you're, you know, you're dragging it there. I don't know. Let's center the selection. Point. Wait, what does it look like when I have it on center? It looks like it's more on the bottom. It's on pivot. Looks like it's more towards the top. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something else it does. Oh, yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to test. I did forget. So, if I have one of these cubes. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Put it in center right now. Wait a second. Maybe I'll drag another cube. Oh my god. Okay. So I can stack. Oh, Z just switches between center and pivot. What about in 2D? Wait, Z does that too here. What was that one thing that I did before? Like when I had the move tool selected with like one of these, for example, Control D. If I held Z, okay, maybe it wasn't Z actually. What was it? It was, good thing I wrote this down. Oh, it was V. They just rhyme. That's what's confused. Okay, never mind. We'll do this. Go back to 3D. Find all my cubes. Okay, I'm gonna hold down V. Wait. Oh, it works. This is such a useful tool. Why didn't they teach this early on? Like, it lets you stack things perfectly on each other. Okay. What about pivot? Can I still stack with this? Let's try. So looks like yeah. And then V. Is this aligned? I can't tell because of how it's adjust my view a little. What the? I think I just placed it into the side of the. Okay, I'll try again. Oh no, it's fine. There we go. I did align it on the side. Okay, so you can stack blocks with V, but the only thing pivot and center seem to do is when you drag it onto the floor, whether or not you want your thing to be halfway in the ground, as far as I'm aware. And yeah. I'll get rid of all these cubes now. Or I could just go all the way back and look through my undo history, and I can just undo it like that. Create cube. There we go. Looks like it never happened. I did forget that if you right click and you're not on any tool, it takes you to the pan tool. Which is nice. I'm gonna make a note of that actually. Okay. I think I'll leave this particular tutorial a negative review because let me go back to it. They didn't really explain what the center and the pivot thing really was, I think. Because I feel like there's more to it, but I don't know what it is. Okay. Reduce the weight in prefab editing mode. You might have noticed that the ball had a hard time knocking over all those blocks. By default, the rigid body component sets an object's mass to 1.0 kilograms. Your 1 kilogram ball is trying to knock over a tower made of 3 1 kilogram blocks. In this step, you will reduce the weight of your block prefab, and in doing so, reduce the weight of every block in the scene. That's the beauty of prefabs. To do this, you'll enter prefab editing mode, a powerful feature in Unity that allows you to edit a prefab asset directly. Prefab editing mode isolates the prefab, enabling you to make changes without affecting the rest of your scene. In the Unity editor, locate your block prefab in the object window. Double-click the block prefab to enter prefab editing mode. This mode allows you to make changes to the prefab independently of your scene. You'll know you're in prefab editing mode when the rest of your scene disappears from the scene view. You can only see the block prefab in prefab editing mode. Navigate to the rigid body component in the inspector window and reduce the mass property to 0.1 kilogram. To exit prefab editing mode, select the small back arrow at the top of the hierarchy window. This action will turn you to this main scene. I don't think you have to double click it to enter to change that property in the inspector. You can just click it once. That's what I've been doing. After exiting prefab editing mode, test the changes by entering play mode. Observe how the ball can now much more easily knock over the tower. Remember to exit play mode when you're done testing. Add material to the prefab. In this step, you'll change the block's material using prefab editing mode, so it's not that boring gray anymore. You'll see the tower prefabs once again as you modify a single asset and see the change instantly reflected across all instances of that prefab. Open the block prefab in prefab editing mode by double-clicking it in the project window, inspector window, and the mesh renderer component. Locate the material property of the block prefab. Select the object picker next to the material property. This action opens a window displaying all available material assets in your entire project. Browse through the list of materials. You'll see various options, including some designed for furniture, floors, and so on. Some of them might have some unintuitive names. Select the material that appeals to you and apply it to the block prefab. You can also create your own material like you did for the ball if you don't see one you like. Exit prefab editing mode by selecting the back arrow at the top of the hierarchy window. Observe how the new material is now applied to all instances of the block in your scene. Remember to save your scene with Control S. Organize blocks with a parent game object. In this step, you'll address the clutter in your Unity project's hierarchy window caused by numerous block prefabs. You'll learn to organize these blocks under a single parent game object, simplifying your scene and making it more manageable. As a reminder, a parent game object is a game object that serves as a container for other game objects known as child game objects. These terms describe a hierarchical relationship much like a family tree. In the hierarchy window, select the first block game object, and hold down the Shift key and select the last block prefab in your list to select all blocks in between. You can also hold Control Command to select individual additional game objects. I'm gonna make a note of this one. I knew about the Shift key one though, so. Right-click the selected blocks and choose Create Empty Parent. This creates a new parent game object, but the individual blocks is indented as child game objects. Rename the new game object something descriptive like Block Tower. With the Block Tower game object selected, you can move, rotate, and scale the entire group of blocks as one unit. Figure here. Oh, they're just dragging it around as a set. Turn the block tower into a prefab. The block tower you've created consists of multiple individual blocks arranged in a specific structure. If you convert this entire structure into prefab, you enable the possibility of reusing this complex object multiple times within your project. You'll see that prefabs are particularly beneficial when creating repeated structures or patterns in your game environment. In the hierarchy window, select the block tower game object. Click and drag it into the prefabs, my prefabs folder within the project window next to your block prefab. This action converts your game object into a reusable prefab. Now you can easily create multiple instances of your block tower throughout your scene. Add a few more of these towers to your scene and make for a more interesting collision. Enter play mode to test the collision path with multiple towers. If you want, edit the block tower in prefab editing mode to make it a more interesting structure. Adjust the ball's mass. With so many towers in your scene, the ball may once again have a hard time knocking all of the blocks over. But what happened if the ball was 10 times heavier, or 100 times heavier? Select the ball game object, inspect the window in the rigid body component, increase the mass to ensure it topples the block structure when it collides. Enter play mode and watch the blocks fly. Remember to save your scene with Control S. Oh, oops. Oh, okay. I was like, is it? Oh, is it? Is it? Okay. That was weird. I wasn't playing. What the? So it's like just a recording issue? Okay, let's wait it out. Wait it out. Oh yeah, this is a problem with their video. Do they not? Do people not proofread their own work? Because, like, how did you not notice? How did they not notice the video? Okay, never mind. It was just my player's fault. It's not their fault. Now it works. Mass 10. Nice. Review and proceed to next tutorial. Congratulations on creating a fun block tower experiment for the kids' bedroom. Here are some of the things you learn how to do along the way. Reset the transform component to reposition objects at their origin. Scale objects with the scale tool. Explain how to use prefabs in a scene. Make a new prefab from an existing game object in a scene. Identify a prefab instance in the hierarchy window. Switch the tool handle position of a game object between center and pivot. Don't know what that does still. Copy and paste this. I'm going to complain about this in the review for this part. Edit a prefab in prefab mode. Assign a material to a game object by changing the mesh renderer component. Make an empty game object as a parent for other game objects. Arrange game objects in parent-child relationships using the hierarchy window. Proceed to next tutorial where you'll edit the lighting, change the background, and position your camera for a perfect shot of your scene. The lighting, change the background. Okay. Yeah, this part is the original Unity Essentials. Oh, sorry, I meant the part with the next, sorry, this part actually. This next part, it wasn't very good in the old version, so I'm hoping the explanations and stuff are better. Oh wait, why is this not checked off? There we go. Pre-game objects, transfer game objects, shows appearance of game objects, physical game objects, prefab, component with a script. Did not do that yet. Game object components. I'm gonna go with the angry one. Yeah. Incomplete or confusing? And then I think I'll just do one more run of the other thing I was doing. And then, yeah. Then wrap up. Until next time. So...